Hey guys, what is up? It's Dusty here, and welcome back to another crypto video. And today, I have split the video up into two different parts. Now, I'll leave in the description down below the timestamps for everything, so don't you worry. But first, I want to talk purely about what's going to happen to the Ripple v SEC lawsuit in a couple of days from now. And then the second part is just general crypto news that you might want to hear about. So if you enjoy these videos and updates, make sure you press that like button. Let me give you guys the rundown of what's about to go down for newbies and also for people who update themselves all the time. So, okay. I'm actually thinking now, a lot of people comment saying, Dusty, you explain it to us with so much rambling. You know why, guys? It's because I try to explain these things to people who watch it every day, but also to people who only watch a couple of updates every week or every month or almost none of them. You understand that not everybody knows as much about XRP as you do, and I try to help out as many people as possible. So right now, Ripple and the SEC are obviously in a lawsuit, and there's been multiple different discussions about what documents the SEC has to hand over to Ripple. Now, there were a couple of hearings, and a hearing is the judge, Ripple, and the SEC coming together, talking a specific thing out, where the judge decided, to be official twice, that the SEC should hand over specific pieces of information. They didn't, though. And now, there was our last motion, that was basically Ripple demanding that the SEC hand over a lot of their documents, that the SEC themselves claimed was privileged, so basically not usable because, well, it's basically a work product of a government entity, so it doesn't have to be used. Now, the last hearing that we had was August 31st, and in that hearing, the judge decided that she is going to take a lot of these documents, which the SEC deemed as private, look through them, at least a couple, and then decide if one of them, for example, is wrongly stated, that the rest should be investigated, or if they're all privileged, like the SEC said, that they can keep their info, basically. Now, that was August 31st, she decided that. September 14th, the SEC handed over, for a good chunk, their documents, again, to the judge that she needed, and for a good chunk, the redacted form of that, so basically a smaller version with more things left out and blacked out, to Ripple. And in the hearing, it was also concluded that, again, that happened 2 weeks after, and Ripple's response could be 2 weeks after that again. And you can see it right here on the left, September 14th and September 28th. These are the two regarding the same issue. So back then, the SEC's publicly available, limited redacted or moderately redacted letter brief concerning the allegedly privileged documents the SEC is withholding. The unredacted documents are being delivered to Magistrate Judge Netburn in physical and digital form on that day. On September 28th, which is again in a couple of days from now, Ripple is going to have their opposition to that September 14th letter brief concerning the allegedly privileged documents the SEC is withholding. And I personally think that this is quite important because if Ripple gets any of these documents, like we've explained before, there's a very good chance that some very, very nice things are going to come out of it if they get the documents, right? But right now, the judge is most likely overlooking what the SEC was hiding away. And she's going to have to decide on that. Then again, guys, one thing that was added to this today, or actually say yesterday, was that the SEC apparently, basically they give out privilege logs. And that is basically an entire list of what documents are, again, not usable and for what reason. And what was in them, sort of, but mostly for what reason it was decided to be hidden. They had to give over those lists like months ago and start handing them over. But one of those lists, they only handed over a couple of days or a couple of weeks after the last hearing and after the last conclusion was basically made. So Ripple today basically requested the court to add 3 documents to the list of stuff she has to overview. And one of them basically being, or I should say 2 of them actually, 2 of the 3, being what the SEC discussed with lawyers about the confusion of the markets and what they told the markets basically. And one basically being about whether or not they gave sort of advice to a company that was asking for counsel after the William Hinman speech 2018. So a lot of really, really interesting stuff. And I keep thinking about it too, guys. I always am a guy who looks at risk to reward. Always, always, always when investing. When I invest in the S&P, I always think, you know what? The risk, not great because the S&P will most likely keep thriving. Reward, also not that great though. So if I invest in that, if I put money into it, I know it's safe, but it's not going to make you that rich unless you're already rich. It's not going to make a poor person rich, basically, the S&P. Maybe over so many freaking years, a whole lifetime, you can become from a person who put in $100,000 to a person that became a millionaire now with that, right? But you're not going to become rich overnight or actually make some really, really crazy, inhumane gains because, well, again, everybody has their money in that, basically. Right? And I look at bonds, for example, risk very low, reward almost zero, so I don't put money into that. And I kind of go on crypto, risk relatively high, but the reward extremely, extremely high. NFTs, risk extremely high, reward extremely high too. So I don't really put too much money into that. I just kind of weigh these things out for myself. And with XRP right now, the way it's currently standing, I keep thinking and I keep telling people, I think that it's just so freaking worth it, man, that I don't know how to describe it. It's like, I've done in the previous video where I explained the roulette analogy, that if you had a roulette wheel, you'd basically take a 50-50 bet. You know, if you doubled your money if you won and you lost it if you lost. But if it were to be a 3-1 payout, or 3-0 payout, I should say, you would always take it, right? And so with XRP too, I mean, it's like a very huge payout that we get for the risk we put in. The fact, however, and I just kind of think about it this way, that Ripple could just win off of one decision like this, however. For example, if Ripple has a good response right now and the judge looks at it and is like, you know what? Yeah, has to be handed over. The SEC could literally just decide, no, we don't want to give it over because that would make the markets too clear. That would give us too much of our info away. We just want to settle with Ripple. There could be so many swift decisions that could just change everything. And I keep thinking, no, if I don't have money in this crypto, I'm going to hate myself for life for not trying it out. What if it doesn't work? I might hate myself a little bit, right? Of course, because I wasted a lot of time. But what if it does? Too many people prepare too much for failure and forget that it's a fun experience too. It's a trial and error type of thing. And it's also about what if it does work? And I keep that in my head thinking, yeah, what if it does work? What if it does? And because I really am convinced it's going to, man. Yeah, what are the chances that it's just going to all fail, huh? The only way in which that could happen, in my own opinion, is if the SEC really comes up with some crazy scheme in which whatever they allege at that point is just something the judge can't deny. But the way it's currently looking, I think Ripple has all the ropes. Has the SEC got a couple of good points? Of course. Like any lawsuit, both sides have most likely got something which they'll win on. It's about the entire cake though, right? It's about the entire decision at the end of the day. And I personally believe Ripple's in a really good position, and I don't think that will really change. Because of the allegations being brought up and because of the way it's going right now, I think the judge really can't do much else than give Ripple the thumbs up eventually. But again, that is my opinion. We'll also have to see how the new judge is going to be eventually because, of course, we only know one of the two judges by now really well. Now, Garlinghouse, a little bit of a mistake in the name. SEC using their meetings with crypto companies as lead generation for enforcement actions. What? Garlinghouse here said, "Thanks Liz and Gasparino for having me on the show. As I said, American innovation is on the line because of the SEC's refusal to provide a clear framework for crypto. Instead of working with the industry, the SEC is using their meetings with companies as lead generation for their enforcement actions. Once the dust settles, it'll be clear that Ripple's on the right side of the law and the right side of history." And I firmly agree. Think about it from this perspective too, guys. Every time that the Coinbase, I should say it differently. Just recently here, Coinbase asked the SEC if they could do something. You know what happened? The SEC was like, you know what? You asked us something. We're going to want to get all the information from your company. That was, again, about Coinbase because they asked about their lend product. I remember that the SEC literally requested every company's name that was interested in this specific lend product to also go investigate them most likely. It's kind of funny. The SEC is playing such a stupid game, guys. It's such a stupid game. And even Brad Garlinghouse just said it in his video with Gasparino on Fox. There's freaking 10, 20, almost 1,000 people who bundled together to fight the SEC, which is, again, one of the pending motions right now in the case here at the bottom, is the motion to intervene. The XP holders want to get in because they don't feel properly represented. The SEC doesn't protect investors the way it's standing. At least, if they are, they're doing a really strange way of it because we, as investors, don't feel about it that way. And that's obviously not what you'd want if your entire goal is to protect people and make them feel protected. It's like the police being there, but they're not really doing anything. It's like, the police are going to protect you. But they don't. Well, then what are they there for if they're supposed to protect you, but they don't do it? What was the purpose? Same thing for the SEC. If they can only make you more afraid, which some people say, let's say just talk about the SEC only. Some people say the SEC right now only makes people and companies more afraid rather than help them out, make things clear. Yeah, there's definitely something to say for it. Indonesia will not ban crypto like China, minister says as crypto trade soars. Yeah, there were some allegations, there were some crazy things, but apparently they won't prohibit it, but we will tighten regulations, which almost any country will do eventually. So I'm not really too amazed by that or too afraid of that. It's, again, just the normal procedures, the normal way of life, the normal way of things. So, again, I just will say we accept it. We are not that grateful from some perspective that the regulation might get too tight. But the fact that regulations are coming in, I think that's a good thing, right? Because that's expansion. So we can give it a thumbs up. Then Bitcoin investors lose $21.35 billion as China becomes crypto latecomers' weapon. Yeah, I still am not convinced that China was the actual cause of this crypto burn. Just thinking about it once more, guys, it just doesn't make sense. It really feels more to me as if some guys were like, oh, China news came out, let's dump the market. Let's try and make these people afraid because we have a good reason right now. To make more money on the shorts, for example. It just doesn't make sense to me. Now, ooh, damn, bless you. Thank you. So, on the XRP, Bitcoin front, whatever, actually, still pretty bullish. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm still looking pretty damn good. So I still think we're going to see some bullish breakout rather soon. We have a little bit of room towards the downside still for most of these pairs. There's still a little bit of downside potential. Then again, I still don't believe that the bull market is over. A lot of people have changed their mind, but I still don't believe it, guys. I still think the bull market is here. Then addresses with at least 0.1 Bitcoin soar to a 4-month high as the Bitcoin price rebound is imminent. I keep talking about this. All these numbers and all these, I guess statistics or numbers really, that people attach so much value to. About 95% of them don't really matter. It's just people trying to sound interesting for some strange reason. The number of active addresses, it doesn't really show you too much because it could mean such a multitude of things. And trust me when I say that, guys, that I know what I'm talking about in that regard when I'm saying that the amount of active addresses, you don't know if that's good or bad. Why would it be good? Well, because more people getting active, more people trading, more people getting excited. Why could it be bad? Because more people getting excited, more people trading, more people moving. Could be a lot of people selling. Could be a lot of people buying. It could be a lot of old wallets waking up, which would be bad. Could be a lot of old wallets waking up to buy more crypto, and so money gets taken to them, and they're changing the money around, for example. It could be good, could be bad. You don't know what this means. And even if, for example, the amount of addresses like that own at least 0.1 Bitcoin soars, well, that could be that people bundle their stuff together. It could be more exchanges are doing a different form of storing Bitcoin on there. It could be in so many different things as well, which is why I always say, don't mind this type of stuff too much. It's not worth your time, at least, if you were to ask me. And then again, Brad, he just thinks you already covered now already, right? So we're good on that regard. All right, guys, that was for today's video. Hopefully, you all enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you press the like button and subscribe, and I will definitely see you guys again in another crypto video later today.